Welcome to the scam tier list. In this video, I'm going to be exploring a lot of scams that are going on in the world today and looking at how they affect all of us and the world in general, and what tier they should be placed on in this list. So grab your popcorn and let's get started. Alright, so let's get into a couple of these scams here. Let's start off with one of the most famous scams in the history of the world, and that is the Nigerian prince scam. Yes sir, this scam has been going on since basically the start of the internet. And now, what I essentially think is, it's a very similar scam to phishing emails. However, it's a very obvious scam at this point. I mean, it's super identifiable. And basically, you'd have to scam a moron or a grandma once again to make sure this scam works. I mean, if we were in 1997, I'd say this scam is one of the best ones. It would be S tier. But right now, the Nigerians are up to something much crazier. They're selling fake airports to Japan. Yeah, check it out. They're that advanced. So at this point, the Nigerian prince scam for me is going into the D tier, mainly because it's outlived its time and really it doesn't shine as much as it used to, but still one of the most classic ones of all time. Alright, so now we're going to look at something more complex, something a little more Nigerian prince scammy of the modern day, something that's very famous and popular, I'm sure you've heard of. Indian scam call centers. Yes sir, we've all heard about these, but basically India has become the world's largest spam email operation and spam calling operation in the entire world. I mean, basically everyone's grandma at this point has fallen for some sort of a scam from these sleazy morons. And there's a lot of videos on YouTube that come out and expose these people, like this Epic channel that does a lot of those videos on it, and these are hilarious videos, so check them out. But basically, these people have to rely on scamming grandmas and other morons usually to get some money out of their accounts by basically saying either they've spent the wrong kind of money or stolen some money or something like that. But you know, there's a lot of awesome channels on YouTube that come out and expose these people and have gotten several of these scammy operations shut down and arrested some of the people involved. So basically, this is a scam that is very dirty and sleazy. You should never try doing this, and basically it is the modern Nigerian prince scam. And that's why I'm putting Indian scam call centers in the C tier, because it is pretty great, but again, they do get caught and are now more widely known for their scammy ways. Now, let's talk about something that I truly think is despicable and disgusting and really just stupid, and that is natural healing oils. Yes sir, this is a scam that probably should have never existed in the first place, but does. Well, really, Gwyneth Paltrow, the actress, is truly a monster for becoming the Jeff Bezos of essential oils with her company called Goop. You have to have had the dumbest conversation with investors saying, yeah, you're gonna put money into a company called Goop, and they're sitting there like, oh my god, she's a genius. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. First of all, they're selling this to people with actual diseases. They claim that you can cure cancer with smelly, greasy water. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. This is pure evil. It doesn't do anything for you, and honestly, it's a creepy pseudo-religion at this point. So for me, Gwyneth Paltrow, natural healing oils, all these things are a bunch of malarkey, and these people should be investigated. This is going into the A tier because it is a really good scam. I mean, they make billions of dollars off of this stuff, and I believe Gwyneth Paltrow is a billionaire now, so hey, I didn't do it, she did, and she's pretty smart for doing it, but also kind of. Next, we have a crazy thing that is stupid, but it happens all the time, and it currently, as of March 2024, it is happening once again. It is the crypto pump and dump scam. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the modern tulip mania. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially people betting on speculative assets. And essentially, coins like Shiba and SafeMoon are just truly scams. I mean, SafeMoon, if you still have some, you've been scammed. I lost a couple of bucks to that thing. Don't fall for it. Now, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin, they seem a little bit more stable, but they're being manipulated constantly. I mean, Elon Musk has his fingerprints all over Dogecoin. Look, you need to understand, cryptos will be pumped and dumped for a billion years. The wealthy elite, whether it be banks or rich people or Elon Musk or whoever, they found a way to use money to manipulate masses of people. This has happened all the time, whether it be gold or whatever. People will pump and dump these things, and they will make sure they make money and get out while you're losing money from it. So basically, if you're gonna get into crypto, only put in what you're happy to lose, right? I'm not gonna give you financial advice here, but don't put in money that you're not willing to lose. It's a very volatile and dangerous industry. Don't fall for stupid things. Don't be a moron. Alright, so crypto has to go into the B tier, mainly because it is constantly happening and people are constantly getting caught with manipulation and pump and dump, and people are losing their money. I think people will eventually get impatient with crypto, but for now, it's a B tier. If you're enjoying this video, please subscribe. Thank you. Next, we're talking about a classic scam. I mean, this goes back all the way decades, maybe even centuries. I don't even know how long. But basically, Basically, this kind of thing has existed forever, and that is the pyramid scheme. Now, essentially, the scammer in this situation tells someone to recruit someone who will recruit someone else, who will recruit another person, and so on and so forth. But the problem with this kind of a scam is, after 17 recruiting drives, you have no people left on the planet. Do you understand? This is such a terrible scam that only a person like Michael Scott would fall for it.
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not even a scheme per se.
So basically, you're taking money from your underling who's taking money from their underling, and it's all getting shoveled upwards all the way to this master pyramid guy, and they're gonna run away with all the money in the end. So basically, if you're poor and it's a get-rich-quick scheme and it seems way too good to be true, it's a scam. I'm sorry to tell you. Don't fall for it. And that's why we're putting the pyramid scheme on the C tier, because it is a massively successful scam, but it has been exposed quite a lot now. Now, let's get into one of the most insane scams available that you will probably never get caught for, and that is stealing candy from a baby. Yes, sir, this scam is essentially foolproof. I mean, you'd have to be a complete moron not to be able to get away with this. And also, you'd have to be a truly evil person to even try this, like Voldemort or Mr. Burns. Basically, you are essentially stealing candy from someone who can't talk, walk, or do anything. They can only cry. Now, the main point of trying to get away with something like this is trying to be far enough away from their mother to not get beat up. So essentially, you have two options. Do it in a sneaky way so the mom doesn't realize, or you steal the candy, mom is nearby, she realizes, instead of confronting her, you kick the stroller down and run as fast as you can. You will get arrested for that, but that's if they can find you. But hey, by the time they find you, you'll be done with that candy. You've successfully stolen candy from a baby. So essentially, this is an S tier scam because you can usually get away with this no matter what. I mean, it's literally a saying. It's as easy as stealing candy from a baby. So truly, this is one of the most peak scams on the planet. Don't do it though. You have to be a good person, right? You're not going to be a good person, huh? But don't do it, you evil moron. Next, we have a timeshare investment. Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen, I have an amazing opportunity for you for these beach houses available on this remote island with little to no strings attached. No, but seriously, timeshares are a stupid investment for people who are basically looking to spend a lot of money on an overpriced hotel room in some polluted third world country. I mean, truly, why would you fall for this? Like, if you're going somewhere, get an Airbnb, which I guess is technically a timeshare, but you're not really owning it. Look, okay, at the end of the day, this is stupid. And you know what? I don't even have to explain it. Check this clip out. It'll explain everything.
These wonderful homes on this beautifully secluded island can be yours with almost no strings attached. Beautiful island. Nothing out of the ordinary here.
Ah yes, Family Guy, the ultimate explainer of everything. And for that, this scam will have to go on the C tier because it is not always a scam, but it still is a pretty stupid thing to get into. So watch out. Alright, does everybody remember that one episode of SpongeBob where they killed a health inspector? Yeah, and then he came back to life? That was a hilarious episode. Well, what if I told you that people actually do that in real life? No, I don't mean killing a health inspector. I mean being a fake health inspector to a restaurant. And more precisely, in the modern day, people are often being a fake food critic to get free food and to get better service. Essentially what they do is they pretend like they have a massive social media following, critiquing food and doing all that, and they go into these restaurants and get absolutely a massive meal for free. All you really need to do is essentially set up a little notebook that you take into a restaurant with you, and then you pretend to be critiquing the food. Often what ends up happening is the restaurant notices this and they bring free food to you, and other such cool services. This is going into the F category because it's really stupid, and if you end up getting caught, you're paying for the food. I just don't think it's a realistic thing. It's pretty dumb, but it's pretty funny. So if you can do this, good on you, I guess. Alright, next we're bringing back a classic of the back in the days of RS. You all have done it. You all have been scammed by it. It is the one, the only armor trimming. Yes, sir. This is the big brother of doubling money, and it is quite a fascinating scam. Essentially, you fool poor idiots on World 1 and 2 to give you their armor, and you just run away with it. Basically, I fell for this back in the day like a moron for my entire dragon chain body set. Now you would think, hey, this person isn't gonna get scammed. They've made a lot of money. They're gonna have it. No, I was too stupid to realize this person wasn't an actual J-mod. I don't know how they did it. They fooled me. Essentially, I lost all my money. So don't do this. It's a very dumb way to go out. And the funny thing is, if you wanted to do this, it was actually quite easy. You just go to World 1 or 2 and find some noobs who are willing to be greedy enough to give you their armor. But you need a partner for this this to do it a legitimate way. Hey, basically you trim your partner's armor for free, and then those greedy people think, oh, he did it for them, he can do it for us too. So yeah, listen, it's a very foolproof, awesome scam. That's why it goes into the A category. It is believable, it is legit, and it'll make you a bill on OSRS. Next, we have a very interesting scam. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to pull this one off, and I'm sure there's people in this audience who have done this 1000%. And that is catfishing. Yes, sir. This is mostly done to meet up with someone much better looking than you or younger in some weird sleazy cases. But at the end of the day, this is a pretty poor excuse for a scam, mainly because all you're doing is exposing yourself to someone who really doesn't want to be there. So the moment they see you, you have two options. Either come out with it and say, look, I'm sorry, I just wanted to hang out, and they say go to hell, or you kidnap them, put them in the back of a van, take them to an abandoned warehouse, and do whatever you want with them. But the reason this scam isn't so good is because it instantly fails and borderlines on a crime. I mean, all scams really are crimes, but this is a very bad crime. So basically, don't do it, please. If you're doing this, you're a loser, and second of all, just maybe get a life. So this scam is going into the D tier. Really, it's an F tier type of scam, but I'm putting it in D because it still happens all the time. It instantly fails. Don't do it. Alright, this one is an old classic that I'm sure we've all heard of and we all love. And this is the classic snake oil salesman. Yes, sir. Back in the cowboy days. Essentially, they would go to different towns and sell you virtually useless garbage for a lot of money, or for a decent amount of money. There's basically a story where a man would go to a town and sell them a money printing machine. Yes, sir, a money printing machine. All you'd need to do is put in $1 and wait 6 hours for the machine to print out $100. So what he did was he would go to a town, set this machine up. It was a pretty small machine, but you put in $1 and the machine would over a few hours print out $100, about 6 hours. Well, the townspeople loved it. They paid $300 for this machine. And guess what? The man said, good luck, see you never, and left town. And while those people waited 6 hours for their $100 to be printed out, what came out was nothing. It was, I believe, $1 would start coming out. They broke open the machine and found nothing inside. So essentially, the man had enough time to run away from this town while giving them a massive piece of garbage, basically a paperweight. And back in those days, people barely had a goat, so they wouldn't even have a horse to go track this man down with. So the man was getting off scot-free. Basically, I'm putting this in the A category because it is so foolproof back in the day. It wouldn't really work now, but back in the day, you really could get away with a lot of things. If you had a horse and a gun, probably. So yeah, snake oil salesman, A. Next, we're going into a classic from the RuneScape days. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of my favorites. This is doubling your money. It's one of the most classic scams in the history of the game, and I honestly personally love it. I've lost well over 60 mil to this. Yeah, it's pretty stupid, I know, but hey, when a guy doubles it the first time and you're like, wow, maybe he's good, he often runs away with more than 10 mil. So, but I've also made a lot of money doing this. Yes, I'm not a great person, but I wouldn't do it anymore unless, hey, Venmo me $500, I'll double it tomorrow. But no, seriously, this is one of the most classic scams in the game, and you honestly would, a lot of people fall for it. I wouldn't blame you for falling for it. Now, you will get caught and banned for doing this, so I don't recommend doing it. That's why it's a C tier, because it's a pretty obvious scam and it's one of the oldest in the book, but people still fall for it, so check it out. Or don't, actually, it's a bad idea. Or maybe do, I don't know. If you want to make some easy money, go ahead. Alright, listen. This is one of the most sickest, evil, stupid things to do ever. I mean, you have to be a child of a goblin or an orc or Sauron himself to do something this mean, which is charity scams. Yes, sir. I mean, this is something that happens often, unfortunately. Charities aren't required to give away 100% of the proceeds that go to them because of administrative costs. So at the end of the day, people who are running charity scams often just give away maybe 20%, maybe even 15% of the proceeds and keep the rest for themselves, becoming rich in the process. This is evil, it's stupid, and if you get caught doing it illegally, you will go to jail and you will never be trusted again. Don't be evil, don't be a moron. This goes to the F category because it is evil and stupid and you will be caught. Don't do this, people. Alright, this one is the big brother of crypto, and it's quite a fancy way to scam people. But basically, this is the stock market fraud. Now, there is hundreds of ways to commit fraud in the stock market, but basically, there's a lot of pump and dump, there's a lot of insider trading, and it's usually very legit, very hard to find. But people often get way too greedy. I mean, Wolf of Wall Street is the perfect story for this. The man got so greedy that when IPOing, he owned a majority majority of the stock, which is a massively illegal thing to do with his quote-unquote rat hole accounts. I mean, come on. This is going to be the most obvious scam on this list. Now, it is a B tier mainly because it's very common and happens constantly, but the fact that politicians are now, like Nancy Pelosi happens to be one of the best traders in modern history. I mean, come on. Look, at the end of the day, if politicians are getting into it and it's so obvious that they are, you know we have a problem. The stock market fraud, it could be an A tier, but people get caught with it, so I had to put it in B tier. It's not bad. This is one of those scams that is the most legitimate legal bank robberies you could ever do. However, you need to be a bit of a Nostradamus to pull this one off, and this is called patent trolling. Yes, sir, it's basically like being a reverse bank robber where you plan to steal from a safe before it's even built. So essentially, you're placing yourself in the safe before it's even built. Now, basically, the concept of this is you need to come up with a variety of ideas or buy these ideas or hire people to make these ideas, whatever it is. Make them, make sure they exist, patent them, and then wait for a company like Microsoft, Nintendo, Toyota, whoever, to build a product similar to your patent. What ends up happening is when they build a product like that, they are either going to be forced to shut down that product because you have the patent, or they're forced to pay you a massive fee. And essentially, Nintendo actually did go through this with the Nintendo Switch, and they had to pay around, I believe, $300 or $600 million to one of these patent trolls. It is truly a very sophisticated, high-level scam, and that's why it's going on the S tier. It's not illegal per se, and it works very well. You will make life-changing money doing this scam. But don't do it, I guess. Next, we have another scam that is insane. It is fake antiques. Now, this is a very interesting one because it does take a lot of effort, but essentially, you're selling a modern piece of furniture, like a piece of furniture or some old war metal, but really what you're doing is you're faking the entire thing. See, how this works is you basically need to be able to sell this to someone who thinks they're getting an old valuable item. Now, the problem is this scam will be pretty quickly exposed by a good appraiser. Once they check the item out, they're going to be like, yeah, no, this is crap. So basically, look, have you ever seen the show Pawn Stars? That show is exactly what is happening here. You might have an amazing antique or you might have a fake. You really have to rely on old people and stupid people for this to work. So for that, this one's going into the D tier. All right, this is a little bit more of a complex scam and it sounds similar to the pyramid scheme, but it really isn't. This is the Ponzi scheme. Yes, sir, this is a very different scam from the pyramid scheme, mainly because in the pyramid scheme, a lot of people collect a lot of money from people below them. In this one man collects money from a bunch of victims. So basically, all of his investors pay money into one big rich guy, supposedly rich. This was started by Sir Charles Ponzi. Yes, that's not even a joke. The absolute G who invented the Ponzi scheme was named Charles Ponzi. I mean, it can't get more perfect than that, but basically, he invented it in the 1920s, I believe, and Bernie Madoff perfected it in the late 1990s. Now, basically what happens is you collect a bunch of money from investors and say, hey, look, I'm gonna get your money up. I'm gonna double your money. Hey, wait, doubling money is in real life. Yeah, basically this is like, hey, I'll double your money over the next 6 months. Give me $500,000. You give it to them, they pay you back $1 million. But that $1 million didn't come from their pocket. It came from other morons investing money until the pot gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and Bernie Madoff made off with a lot of money. Basically, it's stupid and eventually gets caught, but it's still a B tier scam, mainly because it works well. I mean, people are still falling for it. Yeah, it's really like people are greedy and they'll fall for it all the time. All right, this is one of the funniest scams ever, and it probably happens all the time to this day. Actually, I can tell you for a fact that it happens all the time. This is the rock in a box scam. Essentially, you tell someone, hey, I have this brand new iPhone available, and you sell it to them, but when they open up the box, taking off the plastic wrap, all that, they realize, oh my god, this is just a rock. I mean, this is truly, we are reaching peak levels of disgusting humanity here. This scam has been going on for centuries. How you say? Well, people would sell wine by the barrel full back then, and some of the barrels wouldn't have wine. They would have water in them or something like that. And in the modern day, you sell a lot of like VCRs or computers or TVs, and all you do is you basically put a rock or many rocks in the box and you sell it to these people. People will fall for this all the time. Who is it? It's people who will do the armor trimming scam. It's people who would fall for many other scams on this list. It's dumb or old or whoever people who just want to buy something for a cheaper price. You see someone on the street, you're like, hey, you want this computer for, I don't know, $500? They're like, oh my god, it has an RTX 4080 in it? Let's do it. And when they open it up, it's just a couple of bricks. So at the end of the day, this is truly an A-tier scam, mainly because you can get caught, but you usually won't. Because you're gonna run away, just like a snake oil salesman, you're just gonna run away. So basically, this works on very dumb individuals, and if you're gonna do this, maybe don't. Maybe be a better person. A tier. Alright, this next one technically isn't a scam, but come on. At such a massive disadvantage, it has to be a scam. And this is carnival games. I mean, carnival games, carnies in general, don't get me started. Basically, carnies are like the armor trimmers or the double money makers of RS in real life. I mean, come on. Basically, at the end of the day, you're going to a stall with a meth-addicted weasel who's barely standing up right now. And basically, this has been exposed a billion times. These games aren't obvious scams, but they will use certain advantages, like a casino really, to take all the money out they can. Mark Rober made a brilliant video on this, you should check that out. And also, Penguin Zero has an amazing story of himself going to one of these things and losing, I think, over $100, maybe $200-300. But basically, I have a personal rivalry with these things because I've lost a lot of money as a kid, and I cried to my mom as well because I wanted to win a giant lion. I couldn't get the things down, and basically it was a $20 lion that I wasted well over $50 for, and for a 10-year-old, come on, that's $500 million. So carnies, carnival games, even their rides, I hate it. Do not do it. But if you're gonna go, learn their tricks and beat them, please. So carnival games are gonna have to go on the B tier because they're not actual scams, but they are like casinos where basically you're losing money for something that you probably wouldn't win anyway. So yeah, it works, it's a scam, whatever, it's B tier. Alright, listen, we've talked about a lot of things on this list. We've talked about stealing, we've talked about fake stuff, we've talked about everything. However, there's one industry that basically is the most evil top to bottom industry on the planet, and that is the casino industry. Yes sir, this is a legalized bank robbery that is allowed in many nations, and essentially what happens is a casino is a scam. It's a lot like the carnival games, but it is much more advanced, because what happens is you're deeply invested with your own money. You see money being spent in these games, and that forces you to come back, almost like a drug. And games like the slot machine or roulette or other games like that force your brain to feed on this dopamine rush that you get constantly. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It happens to you at such a visceral level that you don't even know you're losing all your money. And basically, people are willing to lose their money. I mean, it's like highway robbery, but people are gonna smile on their way back. It's for true morons. But essentially, gambling in general and casinos are truly one of the best scams that have been ever devised in the history of humanity. And guess what? They've been going on since the beginning of time. Basically, this is an S-tier scam because people always fall for it and it always works. And people are just truly stupid. And basically, they'll go smiling in the casino, they'll lose all their life savings and then come back, bet their wife on a hand of baccarat and lose her too. Don't be stupid. Don't be a moron. Be a better human. S-tier scam, gotta respect game. Now, this scam is kind of interesting because it really relates to the Nigerian prince email scam, but it is a much more vast and wide variety kind of exam, and that is phishing emails. Now, this scam is very powerful for a simple reason, because it casts a wide net. And now with this wide net, what ends up happening is you're able to sell to a bunch of people this fake dream or whatever it is. You're selling an investment opportunity. You're saying, oh, there's ransomware, whatever it is. Now, this used to work way better in the early days of the internet, but now that people have things like a spam folder and other safety features, it's much harder to get through into the eyes of people. I mean, have any of you really used an email in the last 10 years? It's constant spam. Even from companies you want to see, they're always spamming. So basically, this used to work, not so much anymore, and phishing emails will be going into the D tier because of that. Alright, next is something that I personally hate with a fiery vengeance, and that is life coaches. Now, before you begin to say, wait, some people can help, this isn't a therapist, this isn't a doctor, this isn't even a chiropractor, which is also kind of scammy. This is someone who has basically become the modern day snake oil salesman for selling you garbage and taking all your money. All they do is sit there and tell you, do this, do that, maybe write a book, maybe go on a journey, maybe do... Why? Why would you ever fall for one? Like, talk to your mom, talk to a sibling, talk to a friend. If you have no one to talk to your cat. I mean, this is probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen. They're truly useless, and luckily they're only really meant for stupid rich people who fall for it, like Gavin Belson or whatever his name was. And basically, these people are out there trying to pull every money out of the rich people's pockets, which I can applaud because stupid rich people deserve to lose their money. However, if you're falling for this and you're kind of a poor person or a middle class person, please just go talk to your local rabbi PewDiePie or whoever. I don't want you to fall for this. This is going in the C tier. It would be lower, but it is still a very effective scam. But it doesn't always work. Alright, so the next one we're going to talk about is a very stupid scam, and this is really you scamming yourself. It really isn't you trying to hurt anyone. Well, you are kind of hurting other people, but it really isn't that smart, and that is tax evasion. Yes, sir. I mean, this is truly one of the stupidest ways to go out. Look, the government will put you on a cage for being one of the dumbest morons in the system. I mean, think about it. They put Wesley Snipes in jail for I think a year, maybe more. I'm paraphrasing here, but the quote was, because of slavery, black people should not be charged tax. And the government was quick, I mean quick, to drop the hammer on that guy. Listen, tax evasion is for morons. It is truly an idiot thing. This goes in the F category because you're always going to get caught. Or you're going to be a wild man living in the jungle who doesn't make money anyway. So at the end of the day, if you're tax evading, either be a billionaire or don't do it. So yeah, don't do stupid things. Alright, this one I know I'm going to get some hate for, but it's fine. Look, I have to tell it as it is. Tipping is kind of a scam. What does that mean? Look, for people who take tipping way too far, you've all seen the memes. Hey, can you tip me for opening the door? Hey, can you tip me for being nice? For saying thank you? For saying you're welcome? I mean, tipping has kind of gone too far. Look, pay the waiter good money. But also, if a waiter's gonna do a garbage job, why would I tip you, rat? Like, honestly, at the end of the day, if you're a barista or a waiter who didn't actually cook the food and you were mean to me, what is the purpose of me giving you a tip? Now, I believe in tipping. I believe at least 15%, but some people out here are saying 30%, 20%, 100%. I'm not tipping you nothing because of that. That's right, I'm not tipping anything anymore. So essentially, if you're gonna ask me for a tip, give me stellar service. I will give you a good tip. But if you're gonna be this annoying rat about give me all my wages from your pocket, what about me? Why don't you tip me for eating here and talking to you? There you go. So you know what, at the end of the day, tipping is good, but you better be a good person to get a tip. And that's why this goes on to the B tier, because it's really not a scam and it's actually a legitimate thing, but people are being scammy about it. Alright, this one is kind of an unorthodox one, but I wanted to put it in because it's kind of awesome. Have any of you seen that show called Better Call Saul? It's one of the best shows ever. I personally like it more than Breaking Bad, but that's just me. I understand. But there's one thing in that show that is excellent, that has been a part of the show since the beginning, basically, and that is Slippin' Jimmy. Now, Jimmy McGill, the main lawyer, had and I'm not going to give any spoilers here, but he had a very checkered past, and his brother didn't like that he used to be called Slippin' Jimmy. Basically, it's faking an injury to get money out of people instead of suing them. Really, it's a very stupid scam, but it does work in real life. And I had a friend when I was in grade 6, actually, a guy named Taylor, who basically got hit by a car. I said to them, hey, give me $50 or I'm calling the police. He wasn't hurt. He was pretty fat as well. He had a good amount of padding. So they were like, sure, we'll give you the money. Actually, I think it was $500. But at the end of the day, look, he made some money and they scaredly ran away. At the end of the day, this is a great way to fake money from people, fake injuries and get money from people. But really, you're a moron because you can get caught very easily. You can also put other people's lives at risk, especially if you're doing it like Slippin' Jimmy. And not to mention, you can get seriously injured. I mean, this is a very dumb thing to do. Don't be a moron. It goes on the B tier mainly because it works. Maybe it's a C tier. I don't know. Basically, I'm putting this in B tier because it does work, right? It doesn't always work, but it does work. So yeah, be happy with it. All right, this is one of the most crazy scams in society that we all understand is a scam, but we're like, you know what? It's useful, so why not go for it? And this is credit cards. Yes, sir. Credit cards are a legitimate legal loan shark operation run by billion, if not trillion-dollar companies. Essentially, this is how bad it is. American credit card debt right now is at an all-time high of $1.129 trillion. Yes, with a T, trillion dollars, which is stupid because based on this debt, it would be the 17th largest country in the world in terms of GDP. I mean, come on. People are addicted to these plastic cards that let you borrow money that you don't own. And you know what? The interest rates can be up to the 20s, if not 30%, which is crazy. You'll be paying these off for the rest of your life. Essentially, people are addicted to spending money they don't have, or let's say they have to spend that money. This is a never-ending cycle of pain and misery, of paying off old debt with new debt. It's essentially a legitimate Ponzi scheme if you think about it. So yeah, I really think this is a crazy scam, and it has to go into the A tier because it is one of the best working scams worldwide, and it is excellent. I mean, everybody is addicted to their credit card, for better or for worse. Even if they don't want to use it, they have to. That's why this goes on the A tier. There is an extremely common rock that everybody basically owns, or most people at least, and somehow it is one of the most valuable rocks on the planet. And if you haven't already guessed what rock this is, I'm talking about diamonds. Yes sir, rocks are valueless, but monopolized rocks are the most valuable thing on the planet. I mean, diamonds really aren't like gold. Gold has a very small supply. However, diamonds are massively available throughout the planet. It's not common, but it is a rock that is very available. And you can make it in a lab, for God's sakes. But the essential point is the company De Beers, the whatever, owns almost all of the world's supply. And essentially, with clever marketing, forced demand, they have created a very powerful resource that people all over the world want. Remember, a diamond is a girl's best friend. You basically have to buy a diamond at one point or another in your life, and it's basically one of the best scams on the planet because of how well they've been able to establish this monopoly for the entire planet. And this is where many illegal industries like blood diamonds and other such industries come out. And that is why I'm putting this on the S tier, because this is one of the most amazing scams that I've ever seen constructed from top to bottom. I mean, they hold a true legal monopoly and no one's trying to stop them. It is the best system of scamming an entire billions of people I've ever seen. So this is going to the S tier. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Check out these other videos as well and subscribe.